upon a time.
What is it about these words that invites you to just sit back, lean back,
and let go?
In a land far, far away.
Stories have that power to take you places.
There is a hill not too far from this very place, where two tall aspen trees stand, overlooking the city. They aren't very memorable. Chances are you've passed them multiple times without notice. But they remind us of a time when trees were more than just trees.
They entertain.
And sure enough, 9 months later, they had a baby. Oh my, our child, it's a hedgehog. Don't be so mean to our child, it's oh, dear, different.
They explain.
And from that day on, the bat hides in the daytime, only to come out at night, embarrassed over what he had done.
And they instruct.
And as you can see, you must be careful of what you wish for.
They're filled with daring, mischievous villains.
You're not gonna eat me now, are you?
Of course not.
And daring heroes.
Jellyfish, why did you tell the monkey about our little secret? I did it to save it.
But mostly, stories help us to connect.
She thought if only she tried hard enough, she would be able to do it. If only she was pretty enough, smart enough, good enough. But she just couldn't do it.
Predating the written word, stories have survived generation upon generation, passed down from family to family. In so doing, they have a sense of timelessness and immortality.
Part of the mission of the AVHS speech program is to tell those tales.
To tap into those timeless and immortal themes. And to share a little of the struggle, power, and beauty of the human experience. So gather around, sit back, and enjoy a little of our story. And let's start with the story of our stage. As you might notice, it's not yet complete, but in a few weeks it will be for Apple Valley's Spring Show Stage Door. And we hope you can join us for that show as well. But for tonight, let's just consider it as beauty that is in the process of evolving. And we'd like to tell the story of our ribbons tonight. You will see some students wearing them. Yellow ribbons signify seniors, and red ribbons signify national qualifiers. Good evening. My name is Lauren, one of the team captains. And with me tonight are Sydney, Kieran, and Julia, our officers, and your hosts for the evening. High school forensics in Minnesota consists of 14 events, and these events can be loosely grouped into two different types, public address and interpretation.
Both the public address and interpretation events depend on stories, only to much different ends. Whereas public address events use stories from our world as evidence and support, interpretation events usually retell or reenact stories from literature to connect.
This evening, you will catch a brief glimpse of each student, in addition to 5 spotlighted performances.
So let's begin with our first spotlight tonight, Liza Roddy and Zach Fry. Liza admits that she originally joined the AVHS speech team simply because her sister had done it. But over the course of the last 2 years, she believes it has become a stabilizing force in her life. Senior member Zach Fry's path has been a little different. After a rather difficult start to his speaking career, Coach Dan Hodges saw something special in the way Zach presented himself. He was moved from public address events to inter, and he hasn't looked back since. In fact, over the course of the last 2 years, Zach has worked with 3 different duo partners and strung together one of the most successful records on the team. Tonight, you will get a chance to see some of his latest work with his partner, Liza. While we will learn a little more about duo later, you will notice that a unique convention of the category is that students employ an open focus, which means that they look out at the audience as though they were standing face to face. Tonight, they will be performing Sims by Richard Greenblatt and Diane Flax.
that?
are you really gonna call her?
You know, I'd love to keep in touch with her, wouldn't you?
Well, it's kind of weird. Like, what is she? Like, who? Who's Dad's girlfriend, but?
You know, she was a very nice lady.
Oh, she was a very nice lady.
Stop it! You know, she was very good to Dad.
No, Dad really, I think he loved her. Not like Mom at all.
Okay, that's it.
Sweet, wanna grab a drink?
No, I've actually really got to go.
I can drive you to a hotel. I just gotta find my keys.
Okay, great. I'll just grab my stuff, and then you can take me to the airport.
Airport? What are you talking about? I thought you were staying a few more days.
No, I'm not. I'm sure I told you.
No, you didn't.
Yes, I did.
No, you didn't.
Yes, I
No,
did.
you didn't.
Yes, I did.
No.
Yes.
No.
Yes.
No.
Mom, he looked at my fist.
And she keeps making that sound. See?
Like he says I have monkey arms.
Oh, she does have monkey arms, and she keeps hitting me with her disgusting monkey arms. Ow! See?
Sorry. I'm sorry. Look, I've just got to
There's
go.
a lot left to do. I thought we could, talk. We're orphans now. To the outside world, we all grow up and grow old, but not to our brothers and sisters.
Siblings know us as we once were. It's a relationship outside the touch of time.
After losing both of their parents, these two siblings are forced to re-examine their relationship through their past and present and rediscover something they've lost, their connection.
And as Maya Angelou once said, it is the accident of birth that makes us siblings. But sister and brotherhood is a condition that we must work at.
Sibs.
By Richard Greenblatt and Diane Flax.
I just thought because some of it's time sensitive, right? And some of it's legal stuff, right?
Right, but I don't have to just sit here in the city, right?
Right. Somebody has to make sure they're done, right?
Right, and you don't want to do any of it.
Well,
you
I
know
just-
what? I'll do it.
Excuse
just
me?
give me the number of the lawyer and I'll handle it all long distance.
You can't change a person. When going gets tough, she runs off.
You know what? I do everything, but I don't say anything. But the second he has to lift a finger, we all have to bow down.
We always have to do things her
his
way. Always. It's not fair. Hey, stop it.
Stop it.
Stop copying
Stop
me.
copying me.
Oh, Mom, she's copying me.
You're it.
You're it.
You're it.
Ow. No touchbacks.
Yes, touchback.
You can't do that. You can't change the rules.
Yes, I can, because I'm the ruler of the universe, and everything I says goes. Say it. Say it.
No.
Who's your boss?
You are.
That's right.
I'm gonna go tell Mom. You're gonna be in big trouble. Mom!
What is your problem?
Nothing has changed with you. What, the banal details of life are too petty to deal with?
Oh, what's that supposed to
I
mean?
mean, she lies. And then
He
she
can't
convinces
play
herself
basketball
that
because
she's not
he's a
lying.
shrimp, but
Well,
you
she
buy
has
him
to tell
all
more or
this
less
expensive
because
hockey
she's
gear and
right.
tell him you can't
And
afford
of
to
course,
buy
he's
new pair
always
of
gotta be
black
right.
shoes.
Be your
Do you know
brother?
what's about your sister?
Well, everybody laughs at you because you can't get a boyfriend. You're gonna wake up Mom and Dad.
You smell like potatoes.
Okay, let's get you upstairs.
No, I'm just gonna sleep right here.
No, you can't. You gotta stop doing this.
Oh, shut up.
All right, fine. I'll just leave you here.
Wait, no, don't leave me. No.
If they see you like this again, you're going to be grounded for the rest of your life.
You know, why are you being so nice to me?
Oh, believe me, you're going to owe me big time.
Uh-oh.
What?
You.
Okay, you go to your very own rooms and take a big breath.
Oh, you wait till your father gets home. I'll give you something to really cry about. Okay, stop. Stop. I'm going to pee. I'm gonna... Stop. No.
I can't stay. I'll go home and we could talk about it over the phone.
Okay, but some of it has to be done here. I thought we could kind of share doing it together.
What?
Okay, look, it's going to be really hard if I have to do this help by myself.
Well, I'm not asking you to do it all by yourself.
Well, I'm just shocked that you would just take the day off after Dad's. Okay, look. Just stay a few more days.
Look, I'm going.
Where are you going?
Just going far away.
Don't
I
go.
have to-
I don't want you to go.
Okay, shh. Okay, I won't go. I guess I'll stay. For you.
Are you okay?
Just don't tell Mom and Dad about this, okay?
Yeah.
Hey, Stinky!
Pig bag.
Oh, look at you. Look how
big you are.
Thanks. You too.
Thanks.
So how's college?
It's boring.
I got a job at the mall.
You know, listen, Mom told me about that hockey.
Tryout. It's no big deal. I just blew it, that's all.
That's not no big deal. You can tell me.
Well, I had a bad game, and the
Wait,
scout...
oh my God, I know exactly what you're talking about. So I presented my first short film in film class and everyone laughed, but it wasn't even a comedy.
Anyway, the scout told the coach I was too small.
You're not too small.
Like I told you, it doesn't matter.
Sure it does.
I don't want to talk about it.
I'm really worried about him. He's not happy. Oh, hey, good to see you. It's been...
Yeah,
And how's Rochelle and the kids?
great.
And the new job?
It's going great.
So are you happy?
Yeah. You lie! And how's work? Are you working?
Yeah, you know,
Uh-huh.
lots of irons and lots of fires.
You lie!
You know, I'm just trying to stay on the artistic side. I don't want to get all corporate.
Yeah, right.
You know, what's that supposed to mean?
Nothing. I'm agreeing with you.
Yeah, right.
Fine.
Fine.
Stop copying me.
Stop copying me.
Oh, Mom, she's copying me. Ow! Okay. Look, I don't know how we're gonna solve this.
Well, why don't you just give me a list of things I need to do before I go? If it's phone calls, I'm happy to do phone
Okay,
calls.
but see,
and
I don't have to do all the thinking. If the two of us could just sit together,
Look, I don't
we
wanna
could
do
figure it
that
out.
right now.
How's
work? It's good.
Great. You?
It's
It's
fine.
all right. Hey, look, it's Mom. I'm really worried about her.
What do you mean?
The Alzheimer's. She's forgetful. She keeps telling you the same story over and over again.
So she does that to you too.
Yeah. So what do we do?
You know, why don't I come home on the weekends and stay with her? You can stay with her sometimes during the week,
What?
and then we could.
Are you serious? She needs to be in a home.
Not yet.
She needs 24 hours a day care.
We can handle
What
it.
do you mean we? I'm here. You're 400 miles away.
No, what is your rush? I'm just saying I need a couple
Okay,
of weeks.
I'm not going to have a fight with you. Our father just died, and I don't want to fight.
You know what I think?
You're just assuming that I'm going to do it all.
Oh, no, I'm not. I'm not going to go through all their stuff like a couple of vultures saying, oh, I'll take this up, you take that. Let's sell this to make a couple of
Do you
bucks.
really think that's what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's what it sounds like.
Fine. Then you go home, and I'll do it.
You are such a jerk. You know, do you know that I have been here all alone? You have got your kids, your family to go home to, and my whole life is in another city. I can't stay
Rochelle
here
and I are
anymore.
splitting up. I've got nobody to go home and talk to. So I'm sorry, but I'm under stress too. I thought we could just talk. But you haven't really cared about what's going on in my life.
Oh, that is not true.
Come on, how often do we speak?
Well, how often do you call me?
Well, I try calling you, but
you
you
know,
don't
whenever you call me, you never ask about anything in my life.
What? I ask about work
Look,
all the
you
time.
and Rochelle are splitting up, and I'm very sorry for you two, but whenever I call, I always ask about Rochelle and the
Every
kids,
time I
and
try to talk to you, you don't go there. I try and open up, and you don't want to, so I gave
You know
up.
what? Try me.
Okay, what's going on in your life?
Oh boy, that really makes me want to talk about
there you
it.
go.
You know, what is the point in talking to you anymore? It's like two idiot strangers. Look, why can't you admit we have nothing to say to each other?
No.
We're not friends.
Clearly.
Yeah, I guess it's half my fault, I know, but you know, I just don't know how to fix it anymore.
Can't we be friends? They're dead. They're dead. It's just you and me. Hey, I want you to promise me something.
Okay.
If I'm ever lying there all full of tubes, I want you to promise me you'll kill me.
Okay, I'll shoot you.
No, I don't want anything violent.
I'll hire someone.
No, I want you to do it.
You won't even see it coming.
You promise?
Yeah. I just don't want you to kill me.
Okay.
You'll screw it up.
Yeah.
It was Shakespeare who wrote in King Richard II, "For God's sake, let us sit upon the ground and tell sad stories of the death of kings." Woohoo, party! The category of dramatic interpretation often emphasizes the tragic nature of life. It is an interpretive event where students find a cutting from a play and then bring it to life. Representing the category of drama tonight are state qualifier Cecilia Voss, here in this house.
Here in this house, I think God and I are still good. He thinks it's okay to make a mistake. And I think he knows it wasn't even my fault. So I ask him if maybe he can talk to my mom and my dad for me. Maybe tell them that I'm sorry I let things happen with Lucky and that I didn't mean to. I really didn't. I forget how beautiful the stained glass windows are in here. It's like everything in those pictures is perfect. But I guess life just isn't sometimes.
Danny Kohler, the absolute brightness of Leonard Pelkey.
By the end of the week, we caught a break. Exhibit C. 1 rainbow-colored platform sneakers spotted floating in the lake. Underwater divers had come down to search the bottom of the lake. The cause of death was clear. Homicide. Who had ever done it wrapped him in some netting, tied him with a rope, weighted his body with an anchor, and dropped him to the bottom of the lake we had been for over a week.
Kirill Pranati, Mother's Day.
Oh, thank you. These flowers are pretty, aren't they? They're Mother's favorites. And you should always bring your mother her favorite flowers on Mother's Day, don't you? At least you should, because you don't know when she won't be around to enjoy them anymore. Like my mom here. They just put the tombstone up. It's nice, don't you think?
Freddie Flores, Pedro and me.
Hello, my name is Pedro and I am HIV positive. Yes. Good question. Although the AIDS virus is found in sweat, saliva, and tears, it is nearly impossible to get it that way. There has never been a case reported of someone getting AIDS from just kissing. Next question.
Liza Roddy, the Jackie look.
Well, I did finally wash my face that day, which I now regret. You know, I wanted the nation to see what they had done to my Jack. You know, from that day on, it will always be for me before Dallas or after Dallas. So thank you all for looking at me. For it is only in your looking at me that I realized that this, the Jackie look, became my service to my country.
And Zach Fry, one man's meat.
Wow. Isn't this kitchen beautiful? It's a little bit of heaven, you know? It's a place that is linked to love. Mother's love. Unconditional love. The love of preparation of possibilities. A place
where we are reminded of just how much in our lives that we have loved so purely. A place where I'm reminded now that I make no apologies for my life, because indeed, I have loved so much more than most. In truth, I have. So, welcome to Cooking with Jeffrey Dahmer.
As seen by our earlier performance, duo adds another performer to the equation. The material can be from any literary genre, and students must use an open focus. Our duo teams include Jonah Johnson and Jessica Connors, Gorilla Man.
Billy, it's time to get up.
I'm sick.
Well, your forehead isn't hot. Let me see if your palms are sweaty.
No, something happened to me overnight.
What kind of something?
You know how I said when a boy reaches a certain age, certain things happen to him?
Certain changes? Things that grow, you mean?
Yeah. Can I show you?
No. Billy, it's better if you talk to a man about these kinds of things.
Please.
Oh, all right, but do it quickly. This is awkward for me. Oh, Billy, I have to tell you something. It's important that you know.
Know what?
Cecilia Voss and Frank Kinnear, King Chemo.
I have finally perfected a chemical that will turn these children into mindless human robots.
She wants to turn us into boring old robot things, and we have to stop it. It'll be tough because, you're so robotic already. Did you even have fun before you had cancer?
Yes, I had a lot of fun.
Now?
Well, I don't have time. I'm too busy trying to keep up with school, stay healthy. Things don't taste as good.
They want our taste buds to die and all our hair to fall out. Will you wear a wig if your hair falls out?
I guess so. I don't want to be reminded that I'm sick. Did you wear a cap when you were bald?
Danny Kohler and Kirill Pernati, the old boy.
Actually, I'm not playing tennis this year.
What?
Dude, I have the spring show instead.
Do both.
Can't. I got a lead role. Plus, the tennis team has too many games anyway.
This 12th night?
Yeah.
Are you playing the Duke?
Actually, I'm playing Viola.
Viola. You mean the girl?
She's a boy during the play.
But she's definitely a girl, Perry.
All right, fine. She's the girl.
Perry, let me say something. You and I are good friends, right? Right. I mean, we're way beyond last year's old boy stuff. This is just friends talking. Friend to friend. What I'm trying to say is, I don't think you should take that part in the play. Remember last year, the Fairy Perry stuff?
But that's over now.
Because of your tennis, it's over. If you play a girl, it'll start up again. It's a bird, it's a plane, it's Fairy Perry.
Knock it off, okay?
They even called me a fairy for hanging out with you. That's why I got that fight that one time. I was defending the both of us.
I can defend myself, Sam.
You'll have to.
The categories of poetry and prose are similar to the events of drama and duo, in that they are performative events. The difference is that they are simply of different genres. Prose must be taken from a narrative text, like a short story or a novel, and poetry must be published specifically as such. Our poetic interpreters include State Qualifier Elizabeth Hoyland, The Forgotten.
A 6-year-old girl is crutched in a ditch in Lebanon, wishing on falling bombs. The bow is breaking. The cradle is falling. Right now, our government is recording the test scores of Black and Latino 4th graders to prove how many prison beds will be needed in the year of 2021. Right now, there's a man outside that door with outstretched hands full of heartbeats no one can hear. He has cheeks like torn sheet music, every tear a broken crescendo falling on so many of them.
And Taylor Gibson, Stuck in the Intersection.
Apparently, gender is not that great of a protector if you come out of a body that looks like this. There is something about being black in America that has made motherhood sound like something I'm not so sure I can look forward to.
Prose interpreters include Cooper Roberts, Thanksgiving.
I thought he was a superhero when I was a little kid. You know, stronger than Superman, faster than Batman. Wait. Is Batman fast? Batman's gotta be fast, right? He's gotta be. Anyway, he totally put up with me even though I was younger and annoying and wanted to be around him all the time. I mean, he was my big brother. And I felt like he actually wanted to spend time with me and that he wasn't doing it just because he had to. You know? A 15-year-old doesn't play Batman or Robin with his little brother unless he wants to. He just doesn't. He's the coolest guy I know.
Evan Galshoot, Beauty Mark.
So here's the thing about being notorious. People start to talk about you. They do. And I wasn't really sure if it was the good kind of talk or the bad kind of talk, or if they were just talking about me because I was like the freak of the week or whatever. But I wanted to be something, you know? I just didn't want to be nothing anymore.
State qualifier Zach Munt, Touched.
This is my old room, and everything is exactly how I left it. The baseball bats are still in the corner, right where I left them. Oh, and the turtle tank's by the window. No turtle now. Oops. You see, it's been 15 years, and I wasn't even sure that I wanted to go to my high school reunion. When I got home, my mom and dad, they met me at the door. "How you doing, son?" he said. "Oh, you're so tall," she said. But right away, I could feel them watching me, watching for signs, you know. My parents, they've been watching me ever since the thing with Jerry Houseman.
And Sydney Wilson, A Stolen Life.
Now there are so many opportunities for us out there. I can't wait to see what the girls will do with their lives. Now that there's no one to tell us we can't climb a mountain in Istanbul or fly a plane over the Swiss Alps, or even just take a walk by ourselves down a quiet street. All this is open to us now.
Another closely related event is Program Oral Interpretation, also known as POI. In this event, students choose a theme or argument, and then create a poetic collage of numerous pieces that crisscross multiple genres. So you might have a piece of poetry, a newspaper article, and a story, all spliced together to highlight a given idea. Our POI performers this year include Reese Johnson, Lord, I'm Tired.
Yeah, so we're crating up these thoughts and prayers from the Vegas shooting to ship them. Yeah, it's a lot easier because each time we warehouse the thoughts and prayers, we have to change the use-by date. Yeah, it's a little different if it's a Muslim shooter. When is it time to talk about it? After Sandy Hook, when 26 lives were took, politicians shook their heads and said, we shouldn't talk about it. Well, now, I want to talk about it.
Julia Scoville, Guess Who's Coming to Dinner?
And this is why we sometimes feel defensive, you know? Because we love this neighborhood. And we are resistant, especially with the schools. And I'll be damned if I stop seeing this neighborhood the way it used to be. We need a plan because my compassion is not a costume, my passivity is not hate, my privilege is not genocide. This is an open letter to white people. When we see unjust or discriminatory practices or attitudes, we need to step up and challenge them. But it can't end there. Because racism doesn't end when you decide not to be racist. It ends when people come together to work and organize to reshape how our society is put together. White action matters, and always has.
Taylor Gibson, I Have the Right.
I've decided that I'm going to be white.
And one day a prince is gonna save me from this evil, awful spell a wicked witch has cast upon me. My prince shall kiss me, and my kinky, kinky hair shall straighten and grow down, down, down to my behind. And my prince shall say to me,
Who defines beauty? Who's to say coarse hair and broad noses are not beautiful? Whose standards are these?
And Zach Munt. It gets better, unless you're fat.
Well, attempting to change or suppress one's mannerisms may be difficult, if not impossible to do. Attempting to change one's body is more achievable. In the quest to attain acceptance, the gay man's best strategy is attaining the masculine body ideal, complete with chiseled arms, bulging pecs, and washboard abs. For many gay men, this this short circuits the ability to address the root problem and to process emotion both deeply and authentically. It can be life-threatening.
Our second spotlight speaker tonight is junior Dominique Polk. Dominique has been a constant presence in the speech area over the last 3 years, working hard not only in her first event of storytelling, but ultimately taking on the public address event of informative speaking, and being a constant helping hand for various tasks and projects that needed to be done. As a sophomore, she took 5th in the state in her category of storytelling, and this year she won sections and will be representing AVHS once again at that tournament. She believes that hard work is the key to being successful. Tonight, she will show us a little of her craft with the story Baba Yaga from the Gutenberg Project.
Being kind is an important virtue to live by, even if those around you are not returning the favor. And in this story, a young girl is surrounded by those who are not kind, and she learns the impact her kindness can have on everyone, including herself, in the Baba Yaga, taken from the Gutenberg Project. Many years ago, next to a deep, dark forest with the trees hung over like those you see in your nightmares, there was a little tiny hut. And in this hut, there lived a man and his daughter. Now, this man had just gotten remarried to a woman who absolutely hated his daughter. Stepdaughter? Oh, stepdaughter, would you please come down here? Yes, stepmother, what is it you need? Well, I was wondering if you would be so kind as to clean all the dishes for me, would you please? Of course, stepmother, whatever you need. Stepdaughter, oh, stepdaughter, would you please come down here? Yes, stepmother, what do you need? Well, I was wondering if you would quench the fire and clean up all that mess. Of course, stepmother, whatever you need. Ugh, your kindness is nauseating. Every day, the stepmother and the stepdaughter went through this same routine until finally the stepmother got so annoyed that she wanted to get rid of her stepdaughter. Stepdaughter, oh, stepdaughter, would you please come down here? Yes, stepmother, what is it you need? Well, I was wondering, would you go to the home of the Baba Yaga for me and get a needle and thread? The home of the Baba Yaga, but why? Oh, well, you won't be not kind to me now, will you? Of course not. So the girl began her descent into the deep, dark forest where the trees hung over like those you see in your nightmares. But on her way, she decided to stop at her aunt's home. Aunt, I'm so concerned. Are you okay, my darling? Well, my stepmother, she wants me to go to the home of the Baba Yaga and get a needle and thread, but I know the Baba Yaga's gonna try to eat me because she's known for eating kind young children like myself. Oh, well, your greatest gift is your kindness, and that will save your life, I bet. But take this bag, and I'm sure it will help you. Everything you will need will be inside. Thank you so much. The girl took the bag, slung it over her shoulder, and continued her descent into the deep, dark forest. When finally she arrived at the home of the Baba Yaga. Hello? Hello? Is anyone home? Ah! Welcome to my humble abode. How may I help you? was just wondering, do you have a needle and thread? My stepmother wanted me to get one. Oh, of course I do. Why don't you come in and be my dinner? Guest, be my dinner guest. Okay. The girl came in and hesitantly sat down where the Baba Yaga told her to. And as soon as she returned to the kitchen and gave her the needle and thread, the girl got up to try to leave when she saw a strange creature approaching her. Why, hello there. What are you trying to do, you little girl? You're not trying to leave now, are you? No, I'm just stretching. Oh, you're such a cute little cat. I'm gonna pet you. Don't pet me. I will claw your eyes out. No, please don't claw my eyes out. Take this bacon. Ooh, I like bacon. And for your kindness, why don't you take this comb? If you escape from the Baba Yaga's hut, you can take this comb and throw it behind you, and a forest will appear. And if that doesn't work, you can take this towel and throw it behind you, and a river will rush between you. And that might save your life. Oh, thank you so much. The girl took the gifts and put them in her bag and was getting ready to leave when she touched the door and a large came from it. Oh no, I hope the Baba Yaga didn't hear that. She searched through her bag and found an oiling can and oiled every single hinge until she was able to escape without making a single sound. She emerged out of the deep dark forest and was on the beautiful plains. But by this time, the Baba Yaga had realized what had happened. My dinner! She has escaped! And I must get her myself, I guess. So the Baba Yaga raced out of her home, up the path, and finally saw the girl. Oh no, she's gonna get me! I will get you, my little precious dinner! Wait, I have this comb. She threw it behind her, and before her eyes, a large forest separated them. But this was a simple playground for the Baba Yaga because this was her magic. She was able to race through it and still gain on the girl with every single step. Oh no, what am I gonna do? I will get you, my little dinner. You look delicious. The girl grabbed the towel out of her bag and threw it behind her. And before her eyes yet again, whoosh, the river appeared. Wow, that's cool. You are crazy. This will not stop me. This will not stop me. And the Baba Yaga was dragged away, never to be seen again, never to try to eat the girl or anyone else that she was going to have as her dinner. Guests! Then the girl returned back home to her father, who was frantically pacing around trying to find her. Darling, you're home, finally. Yeah, I have a long story to tell you. And she told him every single bit of it. Why, that is absolutely ridiculous. I think that your kindness is the only thing that saved you. And with that, I would like to kindly ask you to leave my wife. Never bother my daughter again. And the woman left, and the man and his daughter lived kindly and happily together forever.
African-American scholar and historian Vincent Harding once stated that there is something deeply built into us that needs a story, that they are such a source of nurture that we cannot really become true human beings for ourselves and for each other without them. The category of storytelling, this evening's namesake, along with extemporaneous reading, are built around stories. They differ slightly from the previous events in that they are limited prep categories. 30 minutes prior to speaking. Students in these events draw a title from an envelope and with their time must put together their performance. In storytelling, students put the stories into their own words, whereas in extemporaneous reading, they must read the text word for word. This year, all stories in extemp reading came from a collection of stories by Ray Bradbury. Competing in extemporaneous reading are Laurel Carter, The Rocket.
He jerked 10 switches, the rocket thundered and leaped. The children danced in their hammocks, screaming, "We're moving, we're off! Look, here comes the moon!" Moon dreamed by, meteors broke into fireworks, time flowed away in a serpentine of gas. There's Earth! There's Mars! The rocket dropped pink petals of fire while the hour dials spun, and the child's eyes dropped shut.
Leah Bartell, R is for rocket.
Oh, and don't forget, Mr. Christopher, nobody is to know you've been selected by the astronaut board. No one? Your mother and teachers know naturally, but no other person must know. Is that perfectly understood? Yes, sir. Trent smiled quietly, standing there with his big hands at his side. You want to ask why, don't you? Why you can't tell your friends? I'll explain.
Sydney Wilson, the time machine.
A time machine! Here we are. That's Colonel Freely's place. Can't be no time machine in there. Charlie knocked and opened the door. Colonel Freely? He don't hear so good, but he told me to come on in and yell, Colonel!
Lillian Baca, the murder.
He unlocked the chamber door, stepped in, and heard the door lock behind him. Go away, said the prisoner, smiling. The psychiatrist was shocked by that smile. You're Mr. Albert Barak, who calls himself the murderer? Brock nodded pleasantly. My first victim was my telephone. I shoved it in the garbage disposal. After that, I shot the television set.
And Lily Braccio, Rocket Man.
Your mother treats me sometimes as if I weren't here, as if I were invisible. I had seen her do it. She would look just beyond him, over his shoulders, at his chin or his hands, but never directly into his eyes. If she did look into his eyes, her eyes were covered like with a film, like an animal going to sleep. She said yes at the right times and smiled, but always a half second later than expected.
And our storytellers include Morgan Allen, The Battle of the Ape and the Crab.
And after many months passed by and the crab's tree grew big and tall, he was gazing at the sky at its beauty and the pieces of fruit looking from the branches. But then he ran into a pretty big problem, where he was this small little crab. He could not go up into the tree, harvest the fruit, and go back down and bring it to his home. And he thought to himself, well, what am I supposed to do? But then he remembered that the ape was right next door.
Aaron Steves, The Monkey and the Jellyfish.
Hey, jellyfish, guess what? I'm gonna save the Sea Queen!
Really? Is that so?
It's so. I'm gonna give her my liver.
You do realize, Monkey, that in this process, you will die.
Die? How is that so?
Because you cannot live without your liver.
Oh no, I didn't think about that.
Carissa Wilson, The Well of the World's End.
Soon the girl was on a long, windy path when a strange woman approached her. Oh, why, you look a bit lost. Can I help you with anything? Oh, yeah, actually, I'm looking for the Well of the World's End, and I have no idea where it is. So if you could tell me, that would be great. Oh, yes, indeed. I know exactly where that is. Go around the corner and down the bend, and there you will find the Well of the World's End.
Lily Pershika, Travels of the Little Toy Soldier.
And so the boys began to fight over the toy soldier. That's my toy soldier. I just got him today. Well, now it's mine. Finders keepers, losers weepers. The boys began to tug back and forth over the toy soldier. And as they were doing so, the soldier thought to himself, why, these boys are not true soldiers. These boys are not my home.
And Nick Windsor, Why the Bat is Ashamed to be Seen in the Daytime.
The next morning, the bat was furious. Oh, Father, I thought I told you to bring me up something to eat. You did bring me up something to eat, right? Yes, of course I did. You ate it, remember? Well, I did not. Well, somebody must have eaten it. But just then, the tortoise came around the corner, And the bat thought, "Oh my! The tortoise must have made it! He's been playing tricks on me ever since he got here."
Mel Brooks once stated that the difference between tragedy and comedy is merely who it happens to. If it happens to me, it's tragic. If it happens to you, well, it's the funniest thing in the world. These next two events are all about being funny. Competitors and humorists perform pieces from published material. Creative expression, on the other hand, includes works that are originally written by students. Generally speaking, creative pieces are humorous, although they may be serious. For our purposes tonight, though, we have combined the two events. Our humorous interpreters include Max Goddard, Ace Ventura, Pet Detective.
I just want to know one thing. How the hell do you lose a 500-pound fish?
Sir, it's not a fish, it's actually a mammal.
Oh, thank you very much, Miss Jacques Cousteau.
She didn't mean anything by it.
Look! Personally, I don't give a damn about that fish. All I care about is winning this Super Bowl. I gotta have my players' heads in the right places. Roger, you've been in this game long enough. You know how superstitious these players are. I want that damn fish on the field Super Bowl Sunday. Find the fish or find new jobs.
Eleanor Peterson, where'd you go, Bernadette?
The day I got here, I went to Macy's to buy a mattress. I asked if someone could help me.
You're not from around here, are you? I can tell from your energy.
And what kind of energy is that? That I asked to be helped by a mattress sales lady in a mattress department? I can't tell you the number of times I've been in the middle of a perfunctory conversation and someone will say,
Tell us what you really think, or maybe you should switch to decaf.
I blame the proximity to Canada.
Halima Batri, laughing all the way to the mosque.
I know, right? But somebody on this block called the police on my father-in-law. You wouldn't happen to know who that is, would you, Dave? Is there anything you want to tell me, Dave? Because now would be the time. Actually, man, your kid just totally took off down the block. Oh my god. Okay, hold this kid. Yeah, take him.
State qualifier Frank Kinnear, camp.
Thanks for my uniform and name tag. Oh, hey, I think you got my name tag wrong.
What's wrong with it?
Well, my name is Tim, but my name tag says Tit.
What? Tim? What kind of crazy name is that? Well, I thought your name was Titty Johnson. Tit for sure. But, well, it's too late to change it now, but don't you worry. No one will notice, so why don't you head on down to your campsite and find your tent.
Jonah Johnson, giving thanks.
Let's play word association. I'll say a word, and you all say the first word that comes to your head. Shall we? We'll start with you. The first word is nuts.
Crazy.
Oh my God. Shelby. And, Bubba.
Corn.
Yes. And, Grandpa.
Oh, okay. I say corn.
And, Daddy. Corn. And, Donald. Corn. And I say corn too. That is 1 point for everyone but Shelby.
And state qualifier Jessica Connors, gums.
Hurry up, Pete. Are you scared? I am not scared, Jenny, okay? I just don't think we should leave the others. Shouldn't we go back to the bonfire? Come on, Pete, it's summer. Let's take a swim. But it's dark. Chicken. Splash! Oh, Pete, the water feels great. Come on in. Fine, but let's not stay here too long, okay? Pete, I think something just touched my leg. Jenny, that's not funny, okay? Stop playing around, Jenny. Pete, help. Help. It's got my leg. Pete, help.
And our creative expression students include Kate Frame, the Booster Club.
Let me just preface this by saying it was all Christy. I swear, she was the ringleader in all of this. Oh, come on, Mrs. White. Really? You know we got the wiretaps and the phone records? Come on, who you think you're fooling? You're just bluffing, right? You have nothing on me. Okay, I know that for a fact. Oh, you really believe that, huh, Mrs. White? Well, how about we take this back to the start? The first Booster Club meeting of the season.
Nick Windsor, picture perfect.
Hello, I'm Bob Ross, and I'd like to welcome you all to the joy of painting. Now today, we're going to be painting a nice little scene that I hope you all enjoy. So we'll take our paintbrush here and load up the bristles with some of the phthalo blue. I just love the phthalo blue. Hello, may I help you? Ah! I'm so stressed! I need to paint something to relax. Well, I know, why don't you come paint with us? Just come over to this canvas right here and take this paintbrush and just start painting anything you'd like. Okay? Oh no, I've ruined it!
Ingrid Gustafson, mask your identity.
I gotta look at this email.
I got in. Oh, that's too bad. You'll get in right now.
Wow! How did that happen? Welcome. I invite you to be a part of this year's musical, Cats 2, More Cats. Rehearsals start next week, so plan accordingly. Can't wait to see you all there.
Alex Bengston, fired.
Angela, I just found out my boss. He's an evil mastermind, and he's using me to take over the world. I don't know what to do. What do you think?
What? Angela, this is no time to talk about politics. We need to stick to the point at hand. What? I know you're enthralled in my conversation. I got it. I need to get myself fired. It's the only way out. What? It's not stupid. It's genius. But I'll be so stupid they'll have no choice but to fire me.
And Kieran Krisnick, back to the present.
Ding! This is right? Who am I kidding? This totally looks like a place nerds would go. Nerds? Max, this is NASA headquarters. I mean, what year is it anyway? The style is atrocious. It's 2005. Can't you tell by the white low-rise jeans? Why are we here anyway? To right a wrong, Aaron, to right a wrong. We are gonna make the scientific community take Pluto back as a planet.
Our next spotlight speaker is senior and captain Trinity Eck. Trinity states that she originally joined the team because she was drawn to Apple Valley's legacy and everything the activity itself offered. She states that she wanted to become a more articulate speaker, a more intelligent writer, and a well-informed citizen. And it has definitely paid off. In addition to her success in extemporaneous speaking, Trinity was state finalist as well as a two-time semi-finalist at the national tournament. She will be attending the U of M next fall, but not before she makes one last trip to the National Speech and Debate Association's national tournament in Florida. Tonight, she will give us a preview of the event of Informative with her speech, What Moves Us?
Each winter, monarch butterflies make their way down south to Mexico, unable to survive the sub-zero temperatures of the north. They migrate to survive. Humans do exactly the same. We migrate to survive. And to snowbird, because let's face it, humans were never intended to live in negative 30-degree weather. The International Organization for Migration defines migration as any kind of movement of people, often with the intent to settle in a new location. According to the United Nations, global migration has increased nearly 50% since 2000, reaching 258 million in 2017. These people are migrating for various reasons, one of them being for their lives. My family is no exception. My grandparents fled the Cambodian genocide in 1983 and brought my father. They would make their way to a chilly Minnesota, where there was a community to welcome them with warm, open arms. Migration has not only impacted where I live, but also who I am. So today, in a world where we hear the term migrant everywhere, it's important that we gain a deeper understanding of why migration allows us the opportunity to survive and thrive. We will do this by examining why, environmentally, economically, and socially, we as humans are driven to migrate. Seasonal changes require monarchs and other animals alike to migrate to survive. For humans, this need extends way beyond snowbirding southward. So let's explore how our environment has been a driving force of migration. Humans have migrated because of climate for millennia. One woman in particular helps us track the story of our human development, Eve. Not to be confused with the biblical Eve, this Eve is mitochondrial Eve, and she is anywhere from 60,000 to 80,000 years old. She is essentially our great times a million grandmother. Guy Gugliotta in The Great Human Migration explains how evolutionary genetic scientists use DNA backtracking to discover that Eve lived in Africa. This DNA backtracking, combined with migration mapping, resulted in the out of Africa theory, a popular yet controversial theory claiming that humans migrated out of Africa 130,000 years ago, reached North America 20,000 years ago, and arrived in South America 13,000 years ago. A meta-analysis conducted by climate researchers Axel Timmerman and Tobias Friedrich concluded early humans migrated out of Africa and continue to migrate because of shifts in climate, like the Ice Age, which affected their food and resources. Furthermore, Eve is the only woman from that time to have an unbroken lineage of daughters. This is Eve. These are her daughters. These are her daughters' daughters. These are her daughters' daughters' daughters. And if I had enough space on this board, I'd eventually get to the point to show how everyone in this theater has some genetic tie back to Eve. If Eve and our early ancestors had not migrated, they wouldn't have survived, altering the course of humanity. But environmentally, climate migration did not just affect humans of the past. Right now, the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, or NOAA, predicts that in the next 150 years, sea levels will rise by 6 meters. To put this in perspective, here in the United States, NOAA predicts that in the next 40 years, a 1 meter rise, which is just over 3 feet, would cause Florida to lose nearly all of its current coastline, 3 meters, and it would lose more land. And when it reaches 6 meters, which is nearly 20 feet, it would lose even more, leaving Florida nearly unrecognizable and forcing over 14 million people to migrate inland. This is not just an issue for Florida. A policy brief from Population Action International estimates that in my lifetime, in less than 35 years, there could be up to 1 billion climate migrants globally. This human journey of migration to survive and thrive will continue in the years to come. As the seasons change and winter lets up, monarchs make their way back north in search of just sprung milkweed. Similarly, humans also make seasonal migrations to, quite literally, put food on the table. So let's delve into how we are economically driven to migrate. When it comes to economic migration, the term migrant worker easily comes to mind. A subset of migrant workers who practice circular migration settle near their place of work for majority of the year, then migrate home, then back to their place of work, and so on, repeating the pattern. The most significant example occurs in China and is known as the world's largest human migration. It occurs every year during the celebration of Lunar New Year. According to the National Bureau of Statistics, China has approximately 278 million migrant workers who migrate home during these 5 weeks. The Chinese search engine Baidu compiles cell phone signal data to track how these migrants travel from the cities, the red dots, to the countryside, the white dots. Many of these workers ventured into the city in search of work to support their families. As a result, according to an October 17, 2015 article from The Economist, 61 million children remain at home to be cared for by relatives. Thus, these parents are migrating for their personal survival, as well as the survival of their families. Each Lunar New Year brings new stories of returning home. Whereas this migration is part of an age-old tradition, a new type of migrant worker has popped up in recent years in response to the 2008 recession. They are called work campers. Work Camper News, who coined the term, defines a work camper as a person working as an employee or volunteer while sleeping in an RV. Linda May, a 64-year-old with a trailer she's dubbed the Squeeze-In, typifies this class of migrants, as work camping is one of the elderly's survival responses to the recession. Jessica Bruder, professor of journalism at Columbia University, writes in her book, Nomadland, that tens of thousands have traded in their homes for real estate. Amazon is one of many companies that capitalizes on this labor force, especially during the holiday season. CEO Jeff Bezos expects 1/4 of all existing work campers to pass through his warehouses. The economic needs of migrant workers has taken various forms over the years, but what remains constant is their need to survive and thrive. A monarch's desire to migrate is innate. For many humans, their desire to migrate is to fulfill an innate need to be accepted. So let's take a look at how we are socially driven to migrate. One of the largest migrations in American history is known as the Great Migration. In The Warmth of Other Suns, Pulitzer Prize-winning author Isabel Wilkerson chronicles how over 55 years, from 1915 to 1970, 6 million Black Southerners left the South in search of a better life in the North. They primarily migrated to urban centers. The majority of Texans migrated to Los Angeles, Mississippians to Chicago, Alabamians to Detroit, and North Carolinians to Baltimore. These migrations reshaped the physical and social aspects of these cities by forming Black and white neighborhoods and causing alternating waves of white flight and suburbanization. However, even when they left the South for the North, there were no guarantees. Their stories of migration were rooted in one mindset. As Wilkerson states, it was a back against the wall, reluctant yet hopeful search for something better, any place but where they were. More recently, one of the groups seeking this opportunity by migrating to urban centers are those in the LGBTQ+ community. A May 2016 policy brief from the Institute of Development terms this act as strategic migration. It is done to avoid discrimination, violence, and economic marginalization in order to achieve independence and social capital. But this is not the end of their journey. For example, Alexis Ann's and Meredith Redlin explain in Coming Out and Coming Back, Rural Gay Migration and the City, that gay men have migrated from the country to the cities in order to find a safer place to explore their sexuality. Often, these gay migrants don't stay in the cities, but rather migrate home to solidify and maintain both the rural and the sexual parts of their identity. So we can see that migration serves as a means to survive socially, as well as thrive personally. Today, we've explored how we are driven to migrate environmentally, economically, and socially. Migration has shaped our genetic makeup, our economic landscape, and our diverse communities. In so many ways, Migration allows us to survive and thrive. South Korean Ban Ki-moon, former Secretary General of the United Nations, once said that migration is an expression of the human aspiration for safety, dignity, and a better future. It is a part of the social fabric of our very makeup as a human family. If we just keep these words in mind, then we will all be moving in the right direction.
Turning on the nightly news is all about watching the latest stories. And students of our next event, extemporaneous speakers, are responsible for following and analyzing those stories. Although the category involves a wealth of research outside of the tournament situation, at the tournament, students are only given 30 minutes to prepare a speech on a specified current event. Representing the category of extemporaneous speaking tonight are Ty Hendricks, speaking on American tariffs.
Donald Trump proclaimed on Twitter that trade wars are good and easy to win. But for however much he loves to decry fake news, he might have received his very own fake history lesson. Because the last time the United States was in any sort of trade war was during the Great Depression. But because of the significant impact that Donald Trump's proposed tariffs on steel and aluminum could have on the economies of both the United States and major trading partners, it is vital that we examine what effects Donald Trump's proposed tariffs will have.
Julia Scoble, speaking on 2018 midterms.
According to seasoned politician and porn star Stormy Daniels, President Donald Trump's #1 fear is sharks. However, coming in a very close second is the American voter. Lucky for him, he doesn't have to put up with the American voter for another couple of years. However, the whole of the United States House of Representatives and 1/3 of the United States Senate does. And due to the major political shift that has happened in the United States since the 2016 presidential election, it's clear we must analyze what effects the 2018 midterm elections will have on American politics.
Abby Braccio, speaking on America's opioid crisis.
While Shaun White was winning gold in South Korea, Americans were winning wars in their own right. The town of Williamston, West Virginia took home gold as the most addicted city in America. The less than 3,000 residents of Williamston were prescribed 21 million opioid pills in less than 10 years. Sadly, this isn't an isolated incident, because as the Department of Health and Human Services explained, the United States has been battling the opioid epidemic since the early 1990s. President Donald Trump has tried to fight this opioid epidemic by labeling it a public health crisis in October. But sadly, his actions haven't matched this rhetoric. And as the National Institute on Drug Abuse explains, on average, 150 Americans die daily because of opioid drug overdoses.
And Trinity Eck, speaking on guns in schools.
During Secretary of Education Betsy DeVos's confirmation hearing, she was asked, should there be guns in schools? And she replied, yes, of course, to protect the students from grizzlies. Yeah, as a certified high school student who spends way too much time at school, I can confidently assure you that there are no bears knocking on our doors. Unfortunately, Betsy DeVos and our legislators are focusing on the wrong solutions. And that's because they're identifying the wrong issues. Because America does not have a bear problem. America has a gun problem.
Informative speaking and original oratory are also public address categories, but unlike extemporaneous speaking, they are not limited prep events. An informative speech is dedicated to presenting objective data, often with the aid of visuals. On the other hand, an original oratory is persuasive by nature, combining the use of emotion and logic to motivate an audience to action. Our informative speakers begin with Dominique Polk, My Exciting Adventure.
Hanson's Robotics created Sophia, a robot made nearly 3 years ago. Not only is she able to communicate with humans almost fluently, but she was the first robot to receive citizenship in Saudi Arabia. She's been on The Tonight Show starring Jimmy Fallon, and she is globally known for saying that she would like to destroy humans.
State qualifier Carissa Wilson, under lock and key.
Of all the technology we use on a daily basis, we pay the least attention to one of the mechanical miracles that keep our lives secure. According to Harvard University, while locks and keys have been around for millennia, they are undergoing a rare historic shift, from mechanical to electronic, from isolated to interconnected.
Lillian Baca, Viva Las Vegas.
In a Scientific American article, Dr. Keltner explains that the function of vagus nerve stimulation in adults has led to heightened feelings of compassion, gratitude, love, and happiness. And children who show high levels of vagal nerve activity are more cooperative with others and are more likely to give. Most impressively, the simple act of deep breathing and humming, as practiced in meditation, provide enough stimulation of the vagus nerve to see these effects.
State qualifier Sydney Schlesing, dolls, more than just toys.
Alexandra Elmore, Crimson staff writer at Harvard University, states, through the years, physical objects, such as dolls, have been used to inform and change the public's perception of many aspects of culture, from educating on medical care, to connecting with doll therapy, to reflecting the change in socialization. Dolls, by definition, are models of humans, but it's our relationships to dolls that make them powerful models of understanding who we are and who we may become, especially during difficult situations.
And Lauren Bernard, There's No Place Like Home.
Nikita Stewart reports in her January 23, 2018 New York Times article that there are an average of 554,000 homeless people across the country, with an estimated 77,000 in New York City alone. According to Stewart, last February, New York Mayor Bill de Blasio announced his plan to open 90 new shelters in the span of 5 years. However, the city has already fallen behind on its promise.
And our original orators include Brianna Lopez, Rabbit Hole.
As Alice floated down the rabbit hole, her entire world changed. Animals started talking, flowers could sing. It was a complete fantasy world. Or Snoop Dogg's typical Saturday night. Of course, with less flowers and more grass. Today, I worry that many of us, like Alice, have fallen down our own rabbit hole.
Hema Tehran, Face Our Dragons.
And the final step is to repeat. Because the truth is, dealing with disappointment is not a one-time event. It's part of the natural process of life, and it is essential to our survival and our sense of well-being. So, dragons may be big, loud, and scary. They aren't nearly as dangerous or as harmful as what we believe.
Rosie Polk, Lessons of a Third Grader.
It was the style of the century. Or the style of my third grade class. Everyone had it. It came in all colors, patterns, and sizes. No, I'm not talking about those stupid sketches or twinkle toes. I'm talking about the sophisticated style of duct tape. Unfortunately for our society, we don't simply stick with tape as a way of fixing our problems. Metaphorically speaking, we are a society that duct tapes our problems.
And state qualifier Reese Johnson, Healing.
And maybe it's because we just don't understand the value of walking. But as Dr. Karen Coleman asked the question in 2012, what if there was this pill that you could take that would lower your blood pressure, prevent against diabetes, protect against depression, enhance your ability to think, and gave you more energy? We do. It's weed. An acronym for walking each and every day.
Spotlight speaker, Halima Badri, is a member of Original Oratory. She jokes that her family encouraged her to do this because she loved to talk non-stop. She states that what started out as a space for her to talk became a space for her to be heard. And she admits speech has taught her to become a better listener. After all, it is really difficult to move or persuade people if you aren't willing to listen to them first. The results have been quite remarkable. Of the 10 in-state tournaments she attended, Halima took first or second at 8 of them. An equally, if not a more important fact, is that today is her birthday. Performing her state and nationally qualified oratory, tonight, here is Halima with Our Quest for the Golden Apple.
I blame many of our problems today on the Greeks. I mean, they created so many problems by comparing apples to oranges. Take the judgment of Paris. Story goes that the queen of gods, Hera, goddess of wisdom, Athena, and goddess of love, Aphrodite, approached Prince Paris of Troy with a golden apple, asking him to present it to the fairest. And he did. Fun fact. This is the origin story of the ancient proverb, men are trash. Seriously, it's just one of those questions you should never answer. Like when your mom asks you why you didn't finish your chores, you don't respond. You simply change your name and move to a different country. But Paris, instead of using his frontal lobe, he used his lower robe, gave the golden apple to Aphrodite, and all Hades broke loose. While Paris may not have been immortal, our tendency to compare apples and oranges has taken on a life of its own. And that's my concern. Far too often, we wrongly make harmful false equivalences, as defined by Dr. Katie Pryl, law professor at University of North Carolina. False equivalence is a logical fallacy where two opposing ideas are equated, even if they're not equal. By doing so, former White House senior policy analyst Jeff Schweitzer warns we lose our ability to arbitrate between conflicting claims because everything is considered equally valid, even in the absence of evidence. So, let's first discuss how we use false equivalences in order to vilify. Second, how we use them to justify, before examining the harms of these equivalences, and finally, reap some fruitful solutions. Okay, so maybe equating Paris and all men to trash wasn't a fair comparison, because not all men are trash. I mean, there's Michael B. Jordan, Barack Obama, Bill Nye. But, like I did with Paris, we make false equivalences in order to vilify. And our parents are famous for doing this. It's the old, why can't you be more like your older brother? From the kitchen table to Congress, we do this. Don't like the Affordable Care Act? Well, you could be like North Carolina Republican Bob Rucho, who said it was like genocide. Because 20 million more Americans with health care is exactly like killing them. Or how many times have you heard somebody compare their opponent to Hitler or Nazism? Well, actually, we do this so often that it has its own term. Reductio ad Hitlerum. John Greenblatt, National Director of the Anti-Defamation League, explains, misplaced comparisons to Hitler trivialize the magnitude of this unique tragedy in human history. Despite your feelings on President Trump, comparing him to Hitler is simply a false equivalence. Because let's face it, as Anne Ream writes in The American Prospect, marginalizing a people is not the same as exterminating them. These false equivalences used to vilify someone or something are just the low-hanging fruit of argumentation. They oversimplify people and ideas and ultimately harm our own credibility, and chances of ever actually changing someone else's mind. These aren't golden apples. They're just rotten ones. And we make false equivalences not only to vilify, but to justify. Recently in Congress, Virginia Representative Morgan Griffith argued against gun control legislation by stating, after a vehicular attack on a crowd, nobody wants to talk about increased automobile legislation. As if guns and cars were created for the same purpose. When we make illogical false equivalences to justify our stances, we lose a sense of perspective and proportion, which make molehills suddenly seem like Mount Olympus, which might explain a study cited in a July 2016 Washington Post article which reveals that today. The average white respondent believes that anti-white bias is a bigger problem than anti-black bias. The findings are shocking because of its contrast to actual life. Incarceration rates, police brutality, quality of education, hiring bias, and so many other statistics show that it's Black Americans who experience a graver threat of discrimination. It's a false equivalence to compare internal feelings of suffering to the lived, external experiences of others as a means of justifying an action, and then use this as justification for ignoring other injustices. Why? Because it's just so much easier to push away blame in difficult matters if equated to something else. And it's starting to make sense why this is perhaps the most common example of false equivalences in our daily lives. The what about? Well, that may be true, but what about? Yeah, I may have said that, but what about? I may have hurt you, but what about? And that's when we become a nation of falsely equated whatabouts who justify the horrible things we do to one another. What about each other? What about what we've become? Now, I want to be clear that not all comparisons are bad. Some harmless comparisons are made to link old ideas to new ones, but far too often, we resort to harmful false equivalences, even in moments when our intent is to be helpful. This past spring, one of my friends revealed to me her struggle with depression, which included suicidal thoughts. Her cousin, who was her rock throughout all of it, killed himself. In her words, leaving her completely alone. In my attempts to console her, I said, I get it. I get it. And in those 3 words, I falsely equated my experiences with pain and suffering to hers, when the truth is, I don't and never will get her pain. The true tragedy of humanity is in our effort to connect with others, we impose our stories on them. In the same way, some false equivalences are used in hopes of doing good, but end up causing a world full of hurt, because the ultimate harm of these false equivalences is our tendency to minimize and normalize. You see, when we say that we've been worked like a slave, or make false comparisons to slavery, we minimize the horrors of the act, and we normalize it by referencing it to things we simply find difficult. When we make casual comparisons to rape, we minimize the experience of survivors and normalize the violence and brutality of the action. These are the Trojan horses we let into our daily lives, the false equivalences of language, logic, and emotion that we allow through our front gates. So, how can we learn from Paris's mistake? Let's deconstruct the golden apple, from its surface to the core. On the surface, false equivalences are set up with language like X is Y, or X is like Y. These linguistic propositions should be an immediate alert of a possible false equivalence. Now, think of this next solution step as biting into the fruit, or, in our case, the substance or logic of a false equivalence. Is it really a fair comparison? Or do these things simply share similar traits? As explained by Harvard law professor William Fisher, a balanced comparison doesn't mean perfectly equal, but it does have to mean reasonable. Finally, we need to reevaluate the core or intent of these false equivalences. In other words, ask yourself, why am I making this comparison? Is the intent to change someone's mind? Then an unfair comparison to vilify or justify will only derail the logic and inflame the emotion. Is the intent to console or comfort someone? Then we need to do more than equate our experiences to theirs. Psychologist and author Dr. G.N. Siegel suggests simply saying, I can't imagine your pain. I don't know what to say, but I want you to know that I care. Listen, ask questions, and keep the focus on them. The Greeks were never too particular when it came to their comparisons. As stated in the book Beyond the Fruited Plain, Greeks named all newly discovered citrus after apples. Meaning that golden apple, yep, probably was an orange. Their apples to oranges comparisons, like many of our own, simply weren't accurate. But if we can begin to plant the seeds of reason, empathy, and fairness, maybe they can be. Now that would truly be golden.
Throughout history, stories have been used as a means of consoling, inspiring, and transforming societies. From George Washington to Winston Churchill, stories have been used to move audiences and create empathy. In great speeches, students recreate some of these powerful events by delivering a significant speech from history and analyzing the rhetorical techniques used by the speaker, which distinguish it as a great speech. Our first speaker is Lillian Pershika. Let girls learn.
Outdated norms and cultures can negatively impact the overall health of a society, even in developed nations like ours. Women are still paid less than men for the same work. These inequalities aren't just bad for women, they're bad for men as well. We as women cannot succeed in our careers because of unfair expectations on how we're supposed to act. When a father puts in long hours at work, he is praised for being dedicated and ambitious. But when a mother stays late at the office, she's sometimes accused of being selfish for neglecting her kids.
Ty Henricks, Roe versus Wade oral arguments.
Opinions of this court establish that where there is great and immediate threat of irreparable injury, an injunction is proper. Texas would not allow relief, even where the mother would suffer serious harm, regardless of the circumstances of conception, whether because of rape, whether she is immature, she has no relief. Pregnancy can completely disrupt her life. Whether she is unmarried, pursuing an education, pursuing a career, has family problems, all the problems of life are bound in the problem of abortion.
State qualifier Maria Michelson, the Triangle Fire case.
Gentlemen of the jury, let us stop to review the testimony by which these facts are proven, and look at the cold facts, the crimes committed by Isaac Harris and Max Blank.
And Miriam Krause, the Challenger eulogy.
Ladies and gentlemen, today is now a day of mourning and remembrance. The tragedy of the Shuttle Challenger is truly a national loss.
And our final speakers tonight are Captain Zach Munn and Reese Johnson. Zach is a 4-year member of the team who admits that he originally joined speech so that he could win trophies. But he stayed because of the wonderful people that he met along the way. And for that, speech has taken a pretty special place in his life. Over his career, Zach has competed in 5 different speech categories and has been in final rounds for 3 of them this year. Next year, he plans to attend the University of Minnesota Twin Cities, and his partner, Reese, has also been successful across multiple events: oratory, declamation, duo, and poi. She says that she originally joined speech so that she could buy a suit, and we're glad that she did. Over the course of this year alone, Reese has been in 20 varsity final rounds where she took first 7 times. But of course, her true victories are the lessons that she learned along the way. Lessons she will take with her next fall to Hamline University. Both Reese and Zach will be competing at state in their individual events of oratory and prose respectively. But tonight, we get to see their nationally qualified duo entitled Falling by Deanna Gent. I have this dream that he will go to regular school and in college and, I don't know, maybe sing in a choir. But I don't know what that means. There is no dream for Josh.
Hey, buddy.
Hey, Josh, I like that smile. Hey, feathers go back in the box, please, okay?
Josh, bus
all right, come on.
To take
Is he ready for the bus?
No bus.
Josh,
there's no
come on.
bus.
Hey, I know.
I don't
all right,
go.
hey,
School
I know.
is
Hey, I know you don't want it to be, but today's a school day, buddy.
Josh, calm down. Tammy, I'm getting hungry for some peanut butter.
Do you need some jelly with that?
Not just yet. Hey, buddy, I hear
Josh.
Tammy.
Josh, Mommy has a surprise for you. Grammy Sue is coming after school.
No.
Okay.
No
right.
school, Daz. No
but it's
school.
A Thursday.
I don't want to go.
Come on, hey.
School
we can't change the school days.
No.
Rats.
Rats.
All right, come on, buddy. The wheels on the bus go round and round.
Stop singing, Mom.
Okay.
So, how is he?
Once we get to wheels on the bus, we're good. All smiles. The National Autistic Society reports that many community services are not equipped to provide care for individuals with severe autism as they become adults, leaving them and their families with few resources.
And to expose this frayed safety net, playwright Deanna Gent uses a story based on experiences in her own life with her own adult son, Andy.
And like Andy, Josh's verbal limitations, childlike behaviors, and difficulties with emotion is just one of the many ways that autism manifests.
Now, this story may not speak for all, but it speaks to the often hidden and dangerous realities for those who fight every day to care for their loved ones.
Even when the world may find them difficult to love. Falling by Deanna Gent.
So, I'm a little confused.
What?
Well, I had thought that peanut butter meant stay out because he's upset.
Yes?
And don't come in until the other person says jelly.
You know what Josh's behavior plan says?
So we have these rules for no reason.
You know what? There's always exceptions to rules.
Oh, yeah, sure. But what would you be saying if I'd done that to you?
I don't know. Maybe thank you for saving my ass.
Yeah, I doubt it. Who's that?
It's Justin. Justin won't be coming back to work with Josh. Not after last weekend. I mean, why do you say you're okay with working with a kid who might be aggressive and then quits when the kid is aggressive?
Well, maybe it's time for us to push harder on the group home.
No, Bill, there are waiting lists for group homes, and besides, lots of adults live with their parents.
Yes, well, lots of adults aren't Josh.
Anyway, that's not going to take care of this weekend. I mean, your mom here with him.
It'll be fine.
Okay, you told your mom about him, right?
Yes, I
Okay, just
told her
make sure she knows the code words, okay?
Hey. Look at me. Are you okay?
Yeah. Could you finish getting the guest room ready?
Once she's here, how many minutes do you think until she pulls out the Bible?
Be nice.
Hello?
Hey there.
Mom, won't you have a seat?
So, Josh will be home soon, and I wanted to make sure you were ready. You know how he gets upset sometimes?
Oh, the bus is here.
Yes, that's right. And Jelly, it's a way we have to let each other know.
Oh, hey, buddy.
And you should know about safe hands. Sometimes he does this thing where
Josh, hands off.
Puts his hands down his pants.
Josh, look at me. Do you need to go to your room to be private? He doesn't exactly understand.
He just knows if he wants to do that behavior.
Right, that he needs to be in his room.
Yes.
You know, I think he associates private with private parts, which is kind of how we talk about his, Oh, that was probably too much information.
Yeah, it was.
Wow.
Feathers.
Feathers, right. Josh, let's show Grammy feathers.
Just 1 second. All right, here he comes. Ready? Josh, look, they're falling.
Help me, Mom.
Okay.
Careful, Mom.
Hey, remember, feathers go back in the box, okay?
Okay.
All right. He likes the way they feel. It's
No, it's a sensory thing.
sensory thing, yes.
Mom, want us to take your things? Josh!
Oh my God.
Room!
I'm sorry. We just have to laugh about this stuff, or else we get stuck. Anyway, he's probably not going to be a problem, but if he is.
Fix it.
Hey, let me see. It probably just needs to be cleaned, okay?
Fix it. Fix it.
Hey, you need to relax. Hey, show me relax. Show me relax. Hey, okay, good job relaxing. Hey, now you get 3 choices, okay? 1, watch DVD, 2, play computer, or 3, do feathers. Which choice do you want? Okay, hey, good job choosing. Now, do you need some help?
Hey, Mom. It probably looks worse to you. It's just we're used to it.
Josh is a challenge. So it's really hard for us to find people who want to work with him.
Yes, we're giving him like 3 different medications. You want to pray? Well, Mom, if you're going to pray,
pray
then,
for what?
Then pray for programs or housing options for people like Josh.
I don't really think God wants to hear what I have to say right now.
Or pray that people will stop praying and do something.
I've been praying since the minute he was diagnosed.
Because God said no to our prayers a long time ago.
When nothing changes again, then what? Bill, can you get us some glasses of water? A Grammy supper? Hey, Josh, do you want to eat with us, buddy?
No.
Okay, all right. Hey! A Grammy, you can come sit right here. Josh will be happy not eating with us, and if Josh is happy, then trust me, we will all be happy.
Food okay, Mom?
Pie smells good, doesn't it?
Barking.
That dog is out again.
It's all right, buddy. I'll go get it.
Hey, yes, there is a dog barking. You don't like the dog barking.
I don't like barking.
Hey, that's a really good telling me how you feel, Josh. Hey, I know, Josh, go to your
I'm sorry. I was outside. How bad was
Not
it?
bad.
But Timmy, he could have killed you.
But he didn't.
He needs to go.
No. No, I won't send him away. I mean, he'll think we don't love him anymore. It's too scary.
The idea of living in fear for the rest of our lives is too scary.
I'm always going to be scared for Josh. Whether he's here or somewhere else. I choose this fear.
Oh, is it any better for Josh if we're the only ones who can take care of him? Look, I know it's going to be a long process, but we have got to move forward.
I'm his mommy. And I know he's scary. But that's okay. Because moms, we don't get that choice. We just love our kids. No matter what.
Oops. Sorry about that.
Josh, Mom is falling. Catch me.
Titled, What is Storytelling? June Barnes states, sometimes the storyteller will not tell the story he or she originally intended to tell, simply because another story seems more appropriate to the time and place. This is the magic of storytelling. The audience assists the telling of the story. And in our case, we have received a great deal of assistance from our audience, and we would like to take some time to thank those who have helped 49 students to compete at 9 invitational meets and 4 national competitions over the course of 8 months.
We thank the parents who have helped to form an extensive booster club, which organized a number of fundraising activities throughout the year.
We would also like to give a special recognition to the American Legion for its continued sponsorship of the Minneapolis Speech and Debate Tournaments, which benefits over 2,000 students across the country.
In addition, the administration has been helpful in its support, enabling us to travel to the tournaments that we do. All of this assistance has enabled the AVHS speech team to be recognized 21 times by the NCFL organization and 16 times by the NSDA as a national team of excellence.
It is this assistance which has built a team that has produced 93 state champions, 128 national finalists,
36 students to be named as the national runner-up,
and 30 national champions.
A storyteller's gift is their ability to take an audience member out of their surroundings and transport them to another time and place.
And so, the king lived out the rest of his days
to show us the lives of others, that we may learn of our own,
knowing that he would not accomplish the things he did not try.
So that in the end,
all that is left
is their message.
And for that, he will never be forgotten.
I wish somebody would have told me, babe, someday these will be the good old days. All the love you won't forget,
band. I was thinking about the fans. We were underground, loading merch in that 12-passenger van. In a small club in Minnesota, and the snow outside of First Ave. I just wanted my name and a star. Now look at where we at, still growing up. Still growing up. I would lay in my bed and dream about what I'd become. Couldn't wait to get older. Couldn't wait to be some. Now that I'm here, wishing I was still young. Those good old days.
I wish somebody would've told me, babe, that someday these would be the good old days. All the love you won't forget, and all these reckless nights you won't regret. 'Cause someday soon your whole life's gonna change. You'll miss the magic of the good old days.
Wish I didn't think I had the answers. Wish I didn't drink all of that glass first. Wish I made it to homecoming. Got up the courage to ask her. Wish I would've gotten out of my shell. Wish I put the bottle back on that shelf. Wish I wouldn't have worried about what other people thought and felt comfortable with myself. Rooftop open and the stars above. Moment frozen, sneaking out and falling in love. Me, you, and that futon. We just begun. On the grass dreaming, figuring out who I was. Those good old days.
I wish somebody would've told me, babe, that someday these would be the good old days. All the love you won't forget, and all these reckless nights you won't regret. 'Cause someday soon your whole life's gonna change. You'll miss the magic of the good old days.
Never thought we'd get old. Maybe we're still young. Maybe you always look back and think it was better than it was. Maybe these are the moments. Maybe I've been missing what it's about. Been scared of the future, thinking about the past while missing out on now. We've come so far. I guess I'm proud, and I ain't worried about the wrinkles around my smile. I got some scars. I've been around. I felt some pain. I've seen some things, but I'm here now. Those good old days.
You don't know